Lee May continued his hard hitting. He leads now in RBIs in this series with 8. Pete Rose, hitless the first 2 games, has bounced back. He's had 4 hits in the last 2 games, and he had a home run yesterday. The Reds are waiting for Johnny Bench to break loose. He singled yesterday in the 8th inning. Tony Perez made the play of the game for the Reds, a backhanded stab off the bat of Boog Powell to rob Powell of a double. Clay Carroll has been a great relief pitcher in this series. He won the game yesterday. He's now gone 8 1/3 innings of shutout relief. Here's the big blow of the game. Lee May crashing the homer to left field. The first pitch served up by reliever Eddie Watt. The Cincinnati Wives finally had something to cheer about. And so did the dugout as May is congratulated by his teammates. The Reds think now that maybe things have turned, that maybe they could come up with a momentum that will carry them on in this 1970 World Series. That was yesterday. Today, NBC Sports presents Game 5 of the 1970 World Series. The National League champs, the Cincinnati Reds, versus the American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles. Brought to you by the Gillette Company, makers of Right Guard deodorant and Right Guard antiperspirant in the silver can. By Phillips 66, the performance stock. At Phillips 66, it's performance that counts. And by Chrysler Corporation, extra care in engineering. Your host today, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. It's been raining all morning in Baltimore. However, the rain stopped about a half hour ago, and at 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time, the tarp was removed from the field. Hi, everybody. I'm Kurt Gowdy of NBC Sports. With me, Chuck Thompson, the voice of the Baltimore Orioles. Roaming the stands, he may be busy today, Tony Kubek of NBC Sports. The weatherman says that we can have continued rain. It may be one of those off-again, on-again affairs with the ground crew busy. The fate of a World Series game is in the hands of the Commissioner of Baseball, Bowie Kuhn, working with the advisement of his umpiring staff. Neither team took batting or fielding practice. The diamond does not drain too well here, but it is in fairly good shape. Now to tell you about the starting pitchers, and they're both question marks, and we'll have quite a spell here. The ceremonies that we've had the first 4 games of the series have been dispensed with, and they're going to let these pitchers warm up. We'll have the national anthem at 1 o'clock, and then it's going to be play ball. But to tell you about the starting pitchers and their respective problems, here is Chuck Thompson.
Thank you very much, Kurt, and again, good afternoon, everybody. And these are problem-type pitchers this afternoon. Both have the same sort of a problem. And you see out in the Cincinnati bullpen right now, the left-handed Jim Merritt. Merritt, a 20-game winner for the Reds, and he has had his problems. He suffered a strained elbow in the first inning at San Francisco on September the 8th and has pitched only twice since then. He went 3 innings, a run, and 4 hits against the Dodgers on the 26th of September. And then he went 5 1/3 innings with a run and 3 hits against the Pirates October the 4th in the second playoff game. And he feels that he is just about 95% ready. I'm sure that he will start this afternoon, of course, weather permitting. And then it will be strictly up to Merritt and to Sparky Anderson as to how far he can go. Now, for the Baltimore pitcher, here is Mike Cuellar, and he also has an arm problem. For the first time in 1970, over the past week or so, Cuellar has been taking heat treatments for a sore shoulder. He also has a rather sore hip. So both Merritt and Cuellar this afternoon face the same problems. They will warm up, they will make an effort to start, and it's strictly up to each individual as to how far he will go this afternoon. So we have a couple of great big question marks in Cuellar and in Jim Perry of the Cincinnati Reds, and that's the story on pitching for game number 5. And now let's go downstairs to Tony Kubek.
Thank you. You're with me, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, Sparky Anderson. And Sparky must have been quite happy and elated after yesterday's victory.
Well, we sure were, Tony, but we're still down 3-1. But the only thing I'm proud of, I told them that my kids wouldn't quit. I don't think they'll quit today, and we sure want to take them back to Cincinnati.
What's the status of Jim Merritt warming up in the bullpen right now?
Well, if he goes to the mound, Tony, I'm going to say he's 100% because I think that's what the baseball fans deserve. Jimmy will do the best he can, I know this, but we're liable to use just everybody down there today.
Sparky, it's your first World Series after a long and distinguished minor league career in baseball managing. How are you taking all the pressures and the sidelines and the magnification of a World Series?
Well, let me tell you, Tony, they told me before what a thrill it would be. Nobody in this world can ever know until they play in the World Series. It's the greatest event you could ever be in, and any kid that's young and wants to play baseball, if he'll just work as hard as he can to get him one of these, he'll never forget as long as he lives.
The morning of Game 5 comes up wet. The Reds with a riddled pitching staff could use the day off. It's the commissioner's decision to make, and armed with weather reports, he says play ball. That means the magic mitt of Brooks Robinson, destined for a place of honor in baseball's Hall of Fame, must be lathered for another workout, and the fans sound off.
The most fabulous baseball player I've ever seen. Fantastic. Does it every summer. I get here in May and I watch him right through to September. Been doing it for 12 years. This is the first time I've been up here, first time I've seen him play, and I think it's fantastic.
He's the greatest.
It's only one thing that they didn't say, that Brooks Robinson belonged in heaven, not here on the ground, because the way he plays third, I've never seen nothing like it.
With me, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, Earl Weaver. Earl, what about the condition of your pitcher today, Mike Cuellar?
Well, he has had stiffness late in the season after every one of his starts, and he had it in between his last start and this start. But he's loosening up. The humidity is high here, and if he breaks a good sweat, it shouldn't bother him too much. Earl, should something happen, I don't want to speak in a negative vein, that something happens to that hip or the arm stiffens up, who would you go to? Do you know yet? Well, probably Tommy Phoebus or Dave Leonard, depending on the situation. It looks like if I'm going to have to pinch hit, I might bring Leonard in to get out of an inning and then bring Phoebus in to pitch a fresh one, maybe till the next pinch hit situation arises. Earl, you know, in baseball, and I know back with our Yankee ball clubs, it seems like the power hitters got all the publicity, but you're in our defense, and everybody knows Brooks Robinson, but you've got a couple of guys that are underrated as far as I'm concerned. Between Brooks Robinson and Boog Powell, that double play combination you've got could be the best in baseball. I think they are right now. They've been working together now 4 years, and they've improved each year, and they can turn it as quick as anybody in the American League, I'm sure. Earl, you're playing Rettenmund today, I guess, according to the lineup. Is there any reasons for that? Well, I played Rettenmund a lot toward the end of the season. He was our club's leading hitter, and I played him a lot against left-handed pitching. I spotted Donnie against left-handed pitching, maybe took Paul out once in a while to rest him. And I just think that we might get a little more power in the lineup. Donnie hits most of his homers left-handed, and Rettenmund naturally hit 18 right-handed. Earl, I see right behind us at home plate, the umpires are coming out. I'll let you go. Thank you so much. Good luck. Okay, Tom. Let's go back upstairs to Kurt.
Chuck, tell us about Merv Rettenmund. He's a part-time player here. Many baseball experts say he could play on many teams and be a star in the outfield.
I believe that's true. In the American League particularly, Kurt, there are many outfields that he would be able to play regularly. For Baltimore, as a part-time player this year, he had 18 home runs, knocked in 58 runs. He is an adequate defensive outfielder. He has a power, and a lot of power to right center and right field for a right-handed batter. And also, Kurt, he has a very good idea of the strike zone. As a matter of fact, in his fine minor league career at Rochester, he was a leadoff batter. And he has served in that capacity for manager Earl Weaver. He is part of what manager Weaver refers to as the finest bench in baseball. And Rettenmund, who came in to fill in for Paul Blair, who was struck in the face earlier this year, did a very, very good job. And I think when you look at a fellow who has had maybe 330-plus at-bats and has hit 18 home runs and knocked in 58, you've got quite a ball player sitting in the dugout. He was a great athlete at Ball State. If memory serves me correctly, and I hope I'm right about this, Kurt, he was drafted kind of high by the Dallas Cowboys. I think they drafted him about number 4 as a running back. But fortunately for Baltimore in baseball, he stayed with us.
All right, let's take a look down the field now. Meeting at home plate, Earl Weaver with his back to you. Pete Rose receives that extra $500 a year for being captain of the Cincinnati Reds. And the umpires behind home plate today will be Bill Williams of the National League. Emmett Ashford is the umpire at first base of the American League. Ken Burkhardt of the National League at second. John Flaherty of the American League umping at third. Tony Venzon will be working the... we'll have to check these foul lines. We have him on the left field foul line with Bob Stewart on the right, and we'll confirm that for you.
Kurt, just one comment about Pete Rose now. Yesterday when he came up in the same capacity, Earl Weaver turned and headed back for the dugout, and Pete Rose kept saying, Earl, Earl. Earl. And finally, Weaver turned around and Pete Rose said, "I'll see you tomorrow."
He's always the optimist, a very, very positive thinker. Pete Rose, the captain of the Cincinnati Reds. As the Orioles take the field, it starts to sprinkle again, and the umbrellas pop up through the stands. At first base is Boog Powell for Baltimore. Dave Johnson will play second again. Belanger is the shortstop. Brooks Robinson at third. Merv Rettenman in left field. Paul Blair, the center fielder. Frank Robinson in right. Andy Etchebarren behind the plate. And Mike Cuellar. Went 2 1/3 innings in the second game at Cincinnati. Gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, walked 1, and struck out 1. Here's the batting order. If you keep score along with us, that Cuellar will be facing today. Quickly Tolan in center field, Rose in right, Perez at third, bench cleanup catching. Lee May hitting 5th at first base. Hal McRae in left field batting 6th. Tommy Helms at second base hitting 7th. Dave Concepcion is shortstop batting 8th. And Jim Merritt will pitch and bat 9th. Mike Cuellar tied McNally and Perry for the most victories in the major leagues this year, 24.
Playing center field, number 28.
He came from Houston along with Elijah Johnson in a trade for Kurt Blefary after the '68 season. It's turned out to be a block-busting trade for the Orioles. Cuellar's won 47 games in 2 years here. Bobby Tolan fouls it back, jumping right on that first pitch. Breaking pitch over. Tolan bluffing the bunt. Robinson was charging from third. Change of pace. Turned it over on him. That screwball. A slow one, too. Tolan strikes out. This game authorized under television rights granted by Major League Baseball solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Pete Rose. There's a fly ball down the right field line. Tough chance. It's in for a base hit. Rose is coming for 2. It gets away from Robinson. Rose hit the dirt. And had he rounded the bag, he might have gone for 3. He thought it would be a play on him at second.
And let's take a look at Cincinnati's Charlie Hustle. Pete Rose, as he took Cuellar the other way, which is what a lot of right-handers will do against the screwball of the left-handed. And this is the way Rose plays the game, just 150% each and every time, whether the ball is there or not. He is not taking any kind of a chance. Pete Rose.
Mike Cuellar, knocked out in less than 3 innings of his first series game, is off to another shaky start. Pete Rose drops one into right field. In on his nose, just to make sure, is Rose. Give Rose a double. He's on second, 1 out, and Tony Perez up has had only 1 hit in 14 times. The Reds are waiting for him to break loose. A fly ball hit out to left fielder Rettenman. Rose holds at second. They're 2 down. And the batter is Johnny Bench, who's had 3 hits and 15 times up, batting .200, 1 homer, 2 RBIs. There's a drive into right field, a base hit. Here comes Rose around third, and the Reds grab the lead 1-0 on Bench's single to right center.
Number 5, Johnny Bench.
They're 2 down when Johnny Bench singles to right. Rose scores. The 4th time in 5 games that Cincinnati breaks on top. Lee May. There's a drive hit to deep left. Rettenman going back. That ball is off the wall. In the third is Bench. Coming into second is May, and they still can't get May out. A double off the left field wall. Missed a home run by 5 or 6 feet.
Here's a good look at that awesome swing of Lee May.
His last swing was a game buster. And this one caroms off the wall for 2 bases. Johnny Bench pulls up at third. So there are 2 runners asking for Hal McRae to pick them up. It's a drive to right center. That'll score 2 runs. It's all the way back to the wall. McRae going to second and holds with a double, and the Reds have come up with 3 runs in the first inning. And he does another double. Bench comes in. And now May. Cincinnati leads 3-0. Three runs in, 2 down. McRae at second. Top of the first inning.
Second base, number 19, Tommy Helms.
The Reds picking up where they left off yesterday. Tommy Helms up. Ground ball to short. Belanger to Powell. The side's out. 3 runs in for Cincinnati. 4 hits. There were no errors and 1 left. At the end of the first half inning, it's Cincinnati 3 and Baltimore nothing. The Reds have Lee May at first base. Tommy Helms at second. Concepcion the shortstop. Perez at third. McRae in left field. Tolan the center fielder. Rose in right. Johnny Bench the catcher. And Jim Merritt, who's had tendonitis in his left elbow. He pitched 5 1/3 innings in the playoffs against Pittsburgh, won that game, gave up just 3 hits in a run, but had to leave when he tired. He has not pitched much the last few weeks. Suffered a strained elbow, San Francisco on September 8th, and has pitched only twice since then. So not only his elbow is a question mark today, but I would imagine his stamina. Tom Phoebus is still warming up in the Baltimore bullpen. Here's the Baltimore batting order. Belanger at shortstop. Paul Blair, the center fielder. Frank Robinson in right, hitting third. Boog Powell at first, batting cleanup. Merv Rettenman at left. Brooks Robinson at third, batting sixth. Johnson hitting seventh at second. Echeverria catching and batting eighth. And Cuellar pitching and batting ninth. Jim Merritt, 26 years old. Born in Altadena, California. Lives now in West Covina, California. Used to be a clubhouse boy and also a ball boy for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Belanger leading off. Fouls it out of play. Belanger's had 1 hit in 14 times in the series. This is Jim Merritt's 9th professional season. There's Merritt's record this year. He has a high earned run average for a 20-game winner, but he's tough when he has to. Slow curve has popped up. Perez, the third baseman in foul territory, puts it away. 1 out. Paul Blair has 6 hits in 15 times up.
Batting second, playing center field, number 6, Paul Blair.
Blair's World Series average, 400. That one's going to drop in for a diving grab, but it's a base hit. He trapped the ball. Great try by McRae, but it's a base hit by Blair. We'll give McRae a hand for his effort.
Well, we'll take a look at the great effort from McRae once more. Here is his all-out effort to make it on the fly. And as you see, it hit right in front of him. And you got another fine call from umpire Tony Benson down on the left field side. McRae with an all-out gamble, and no doubt the Reds naturally cannot afford to lose. They're going to play it that way.
But the Reds unveil sore-armed Jim Merritt, their big winner. And he gives up his first hit to Paul Blair. A drive well played by McRae, but it's trapped. Frank Robinson. 4 hits and 17 trips. He's holding. Long drive. Hit deep to left field. That one is going. Goodbye. Robinson's second homer of the series, RBIs 3 and 4.
We'll take a look at it again, looking in from center field in slow motion, and look at Robinson unload on the breaking ball from Merritt. And it's just a towering high fly that just went straight as a string. Didn't veer one way or the other down the left field line.
Frank Robinson jockeys the count to 3 and 2 before he gets his pitch. And quickly the Birds answer back. Robinson, the only player ever picked as most valuable player in both leagues, still lets his bat do the talking. Now, batting .250 in the series, 3 hits 12 times. He's had 2 homers and 4 RBIs. Outside. Merritt has not been sharp with his control, just missing. The on-deck batter, Merv Retman. A high fly to left center. Maybe in a hole out there. Nope, going back for it. Concepcion with a fine play. Long ways for a shortstop on that one, out into fairly deep left center.
And it had to be Concepcion because against Powell, naturally, center fielder Tolan as deep as could be, and Concepcion traveled a long way, and that's not the easiest kind of a catch to make in a ball game with your back toward the target and running, moving as Concepcion was. Fine play.
Merv Retman, born, lives in Flint, Michigan. 27 years old. Inside to him, ball 1. Led the International League in hitting in 1968. A part-time player last year in this year of the Orioles. There's a foul ball. And he's creating a very pleasant problem, isn't he, Chuck, for Earl Weaver? They don't know what to do with him. They want to play him, but it's hard to find a spot.
Well, it is a problem, but Weaver has learned how to handle that problem very well. If ever a manager made full use of all 25 men in his roster in winning a title this year, Earl Weaver has done so.
Curve has popped up. Perez backing up gives way to Concepcion. And Merritt gets him out. 2 runs on Frank Robinson's 2-run homer. 2 hits, there were no errors, nobody left. And at the end of the first inning, it's Cincinnati 3, Baltimore 2. Those are the Reds coaches. Ted Kluszewski at first base, Alex Grammas at third. Kluszewski still has about the biggest pair of arms in Major League Baseball. Dave Concepcion will face Mike Cuellar in the top of the second. Cuellar,
the shortstop, number 13.
his lifetime record and his World Series record. Concepcion, 2 hits and 6 times, been hitting mostly to right center and right field. That's ball strike. He had a triple yesterday to right center. Pop up, going back is Johnson, the second baseman for it. 1 out. Jim Merritt is up. Strikes Merritt out with a fastball. 2 down, nobody on. Bobby Tolan struck out in the first inning. Bobby Tolan, a cousin of the late Eddie Tolan, a gold medal winner in the 100 and 200 meter dashes in the 1932 Olympics. That's hit down to Powell. Easy play for him. And the Reds are down 1-2-3 in the second. We've gone an inning and a half with the score, Cincinnati 3 and Baltimore 2. The Oriole coaches are George Stoller at first, Bill Hunter at third. Brooks Robinson has already received his ovation when he came out of the dugout. Brooks has the most hits of any batter in this series. 8 hits, 16 times up. He's batting .500. That drive is out to deep left. McRae back, pulls it in. 1 down. Earl Weaver. 2.5 years he's managed this team. Dave Johnson, 2 hits and 12 times. But has been a sure-handed second baseman in this series. One ball, 1 strike. 2-1. Johnson's on.
Kurt, mentioning the pitching problems of Sparky Anderson and the Cincinnati Reds, you just need 2 names to give you an idea of the problem. One is Simpson and the other is Maloney. And you take those 2 fellows out of the World Series, and it has to create a tremendous gap.
Yes, and McLaughlin now has a swelling in his upper right arm. He's doubtful. And, of course, Merritt has been plagued with his tendonitis in his elbow. Right through the middle. Johnson is stopping at second. Etchebarren's on first. And Cuellar, the pitcher, coming up. He's not a bad hitter. In fact, the Cincinnati scout report, be careful with Cuellar, McNally, and Palmer. They can all hit. That's a drive to right center. Pete Rose grabs it on the run. Hit hard by Cuellar. 2 down. Sparky Anderson, now he wants to come out here. The last 2 men, Etchebarren and Cuellar, have racked Merritt. Also Merritt had walked Johnson after 1 out. In the second, Baltimore presses the attack on Merritt. Johnson is on with a walk when Etchebarren rips the single up the middle. Runners on first and second. Out of the dugout, manager Sparky Anderson.
Badger, I know you feel fine, and I know...
I'm not sorry, Sparky, really.
Oh, I know that. I know that, Badger, but I'm going to have to make a decision, and I'm going to make it like I always make.
Well?
And I know you feel good, and I appreciate you going out here today. Believe me. But I know this. For you to stay out here over 4 or 5 innings a day, it ain't going to do you no good. I appreciate you going out.
Oh, it's just been 11 days. I think I can get it together, you know.
I know that, Jimmy. Don't think I don't know. He didn't have nothing, did he, John?
You want me to play the Caino? Number 37.
Okay, I don't think he would bunt, but let's play him.
Yeah,
he won't. He shouldn't pull the ball that much on him anyway over there. So let's play him a little tight. Wayne, you got 2 out, first and second. Go get him. Let's go hard.
Wayne Granger gets the call. And with 2 out, he duels Mark Belanger, hitless in his last 12 tries. The base hit to left. Waving Johnson around. The throw comes in to third base. And Baltimore's tied it up. Belanger getting his first series RBI. Etchebarren held at second. Belanger's at first. That run is charged to Merritt. Paul Blair single to left in the first inning. 3-3. Each team has 4 hits. Been an odd series. Leads haven't meant much in this series. The Reds had a 3-0 lead in the first game, 4-0 lead in the second game, and the Orioles overtook them. Curve strike to Blair. Two away. There's a base hit. McCray up with the ball. They're waving Etchebarren on to throw. Wide, backed up by Granger. McCray's throw was way off the plate. Looked like he had a real shot at Etchebarren.
Well, here is the tie-breaking base hit, and it was never in doubt from the moment the ball hit in left field. Billy Hunter was sending Etchebarren, and you see how far offline was the throw from McCray in left field.
Paul Blair comes up with a score tied, and he punches another hit through. This time, Etchebarren beats the throw, and the Orioles lead 4-3. And doomsday is written all over Johnny Bench's face. Now the Orioles take the lead 4-3. Frank Robinson hit a 2-run homer to left his first time. Belanger's at second, Blair's at first. That was Paul Blair's 7th hit of the series. Tony Cloninger warming up. A high fly to center. Tolan, plenty of room for it. The Orioles are out, but they take the lead. 2 runs for Baltimore, 3 hits, no errors, 2 left. At the end of 2 innings, Baltimore 4 and Cincinnati 3. This 1970 World Series is being seen via satellite in Puerto Rico and Caracas this year. Also seen in Taiwan, China for the first time and heard in the Chinese language. Seen in many other countries throughout the world. And on land and sea, the games are being carried via the Armed Forces radio. Earl Weaver told me before the game, he said, "Kurt, I leave Cuellar in longer than I would normally to try and give him a chance to really loosen up, even though he gets hurt in the first inning." Rose grounds out second to first. Cuellar led the American League in complete games this past season. Pitched 21 complete games.
Number 24, Tony Perez.
Tony Perez flying to left. 2 Cubans facing each other right now. Cuellar and Perez. Slams it to left. Merv Retnam is there. 2 down. Tom Phoebus.
Number 5, Johnny Bench.
Well, and the bullpen's really interested in the ball game with a newspaper out there. Johnny Bench single to right. Fouls it back, knocked in a run in the first inning. Off-speed pitch, full Bench. Blue ball forward. Now retired 7 in a row. At the end of 2.5 innings, Baltimore 4 and Cincinnati 3. Four to 3. Last of the third, Baltimore ahead. There's a drive to deep right. Rose going hard, can't get it. Powell on his way for 2 and doubles. Lead off the third.
Well, we can take a look in split screen. You'll see the delivery from Granger and the Powell swing. About as powerful a swing as the American League has to offer.
In the third, the Orioles continue the shelling. Boog Powell leading off. Redmond is up. Up the middle. Big Powell score. Down to second. Goes Redmond. Redmond winds up at second on the throw to the plate.
Look at it again. Here's your base hit through the middle of center field. And Tolan makes his play at the plate a lot closer than it appeared it would be. That's Powell's left foot over the plate prior to the tag.
Merv Redmond in the starting lineup for the first time. Single. Tolan goes for Powell at the plate. But it's another run for the Orioles. Granger has faced 5 men and given up 4 base hits. Sparky Anderson is staying with him. And the next batter is Brooks Robinson. 5-3 Baltimore. They have Redmond on second. Nobody out. Hard. Helms. In time. Helms hung with that one beautifully. Redmond's over at third.
Let's look at it again and watch Helms as he really battled to maintain control. More than anything else, he wanted to keep the ball where it is in front of him, and he did that. And throws out Brooks Robinson. And again, a repeat of what Kurt said momentarily, how obviously Brooks was trying to go to the first base side to advance Redmond to third base.
Those are things that never show up in the box score, but the good players do them and help their team. So Redmond now at third, and the Reds have to bring the infield in with 1 out. Base hit to left field. And Brooks Robinson getting that man over to third. Set up the run. The infield had to draw in, and they slapped the ball through the drawn-in infield. Sparky Anderson out again. Ahead by 2, nobody out. Redmond on second. Brooks Robinson makes the professional play, hitting behind the runner, an art that doesn't show in the box score. The coup de grace for Granger is delivered by Dave Johnson. Redmond scores through the drawn-in infield, and it's Baltimore 6-3.
Bill Wilcox. All right, Wayne. Poor Wayne. I don't understand. Everything he's throwing up to, they've kissed. Every ball they hit's a base hit. High bounces through there, ordinary ground balls through there.
Put the whole outfield on that infield and still get through somewhere.
I never seen nothing like it. Milt, you got 1 out, you got a man on first base and 1 out. Go hard.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Etchebarren. A high fly out to Pete Rose. Johnson played it halfway, 2 down. And Cuellar, the pitcher, coming up. Cuellar hit a grand slam homer in the playoffs against Minnesota. After a shaky first inning, he settled down.
Mike Cuellar.
Foul ball. One thing you note on these Baltimore pitchers at the bat, Chuck, is the Reds don't play them to the opposite field.
As you mentioned, they are, I'd say, fair hitting pitchers, not really good hitting pitchers. But a fellow like Cuellar is one of those, I think you honestly say he is quite dangerous if you happen to throw it where he's swinging. He takes a full rip at each and every pitch, and that foul ball is giving him a little discomfort, as you see. Manager Weaver and Salvan, the trainer for the Baltimore Orioles, started out of the dugout, and I think Cuellar sent him back, but now trainer Ralph Salvan and Earl Weaver are going to come on the scene, so it's obvious that the sting of that foul ball is quite uncomfortable. Whether it was the knee or below, I'm not sure, and apparently now they are touching the inside of the shin on that right leg. And now the back of the leg.
That's that freeze spray they put on to deaden the nerve endings, the pain. You know, if that stiffens up on him and continues painful, that could bother his pitching.
It could indeed. In the playoff games, third playoff game, Baltimore pitcher Jim Palmer was hit a tremendous smash, knocked right off the mound by Minnesota catcher Ratliff. And he had after that an uncomfortable inning, but was still able to continue. And it remains to be seen whether the sting of this foul ball is going to bother Cuellar.
Runner going. Victory. And the Orioles are out in the third. 2 more runs for them. 3 hits. No errors, 1 left. At the end of 3, Baltimore 6 and Cincinnati 3.
0-9-7.
In the 4th inning, Lee May, Hal McRae, and Tommy Helms are due up. And we got just a little glint of sunshine. It's trying to fight its way through the clouds. Lee May is the only hitter who has hit safely in every game, including today.
The batter, number 23.
Brooks Robinson and Bobby Tolan still have their chance to do so. They asked May if he's altered his swing to keep the ball from getting away from Brooks Robinson. He said no. Harris hit to Robinson in back of the bag. Fell down at home plate. The throw goes over to Powell. May fell down on the plate. Couldn't get out of the box. He's out. Robinson to Powell.
I'll look at the Brooks Robinson play on the smash off the bat of Lee May.
Number 11.
And again, very sure-handed in the setup for the throw, and now he can relax and take his time as he knows that May is on the ground and unable to run.
A high pop-up by Hal McRae. Belanger, the shortstop. 2 down. McRae had doubled his first time. 9 in a row now. Cuellar is set down. Tommy Helms grounded to short his first time.
Number 19, Tommy Helms.
And it's popped up once more. Boog Powell calling for it. 3 up and 3 down for the Reds. At the end of 3.5 innings, Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 3.
The batter, number 7, Mark Belanger.
Hit to the right side to Helms. 1 down. Helms has played a very solid second base in this series. Blair is 2 for 2. Single to left in the first. Single in the
Number
second
6,
and drove in a run.
Blair.
And he and Brooks Robinson are now tied for the most hits, 8 apiece. Young Milt Wilcox, in relief at Ranger, holds the Birds the hard way. Frank Robinson smashed ricochets to Perez for the putout. Three up, 3 down for the Orioles in the 4th. At the end of 4 innings, Baltimore 6 and Cincinnati 3.
Number 13, Dave Concepcion.
Ground ball to Belanger. 1 down. Angel Bravo coming up. Bravo hit .310 as a pinch hitter this
Your
last
attention,
year.
please.
277 for the season.
Wilcox.
He's
Number
nothing for 2 in the World Series.
Angel Bravo.
There's a first base runner for the Reds since the first inning. And the top of their order is coming up. Bobby Tolan has struck out and grounded out. Fly ball to left field. Merv Redmond is there. 2 down. Pete Rose, the switch hitter, will be batting right. He's doubled to right and grounded out. One more out, and this is an official ball game. There's a drive hit to deep right. Robinson backing up. And we now have an official ball game here in Game 5 of the World Series. In the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, one left. At the end of 4 1/2, Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 3. Tony Cloninger will become the 4th Cincinnati pitcher. Merritt, Granger, Wilcox, and now Cloninger. The Orioles are leading 6-3 as we go to the last of the 5th inning. And to take over the play-by-play, the voice of the Baltimore Orioles, Mr. Chuck Thompson.
Thank you, Kurt, and again, good afternoon, everybody. Here is Cloninger. He was the loser in the 3rd game, the first one played here in Baltimore. He pitched 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 5 runs, and was nicked by the home run bat of Frank Robinson in the 3rd and Don Buford in the 5th inning. Tony Cloninger. Tony Perez waiting for the pop-up. One gone. Baltimore left fielder Merv Rettenmund popped to short in the 1st. He singled to knock in the Orioles' 5th run in the 3rd inning. Baltimore 6 runs, 8 hits. Cincinnati 3 runs, 4 hits in this last half of the 5th inning. Right field, if it stays fair, it could be trouble. If it stays fair, it is. Fair ball, home run for Rettenmund.
Rettenmund with power to the opposite field. Watch Tony Cloninger's reaction after the bat meets the ball. Rettenmund hit 18 home runs as a part-time player this year. Cincinnati's 4th pitcher is Tony Cloninger, starting the 5th. Second man he faces is Rettenmund, and Merv's drive stays fair, curling just inside the right field foul pole. Earl Weaver keeps pushing the right button, and the Baltimore lead goes to 7-3. The Orioles now have out-homered the Reds 10 home runs to 5 in this series.
Well, let's see if the shortstop can get back on it or the center fielder in. No one. And Brooks Robinson fell rounding first base. He is apparently all right, perhaps a little embarrassed. But that now is the 9th hit in the 1970 World Series for Brooks Robinson, tying a record that Kurt Gowdy mentioned earlier. The last one to do it, Bobby Richardson, 1961. The 2nd hit off Cloninger, and the 10th Baltimore hit in Game 5. Dave Johnson has walked and has singled to knock in the Baltimore run. If you had been in Baltimore with us early this morning, you could not possibly have believed that the Orioles and the Reds could play a couple of innings, let alone get to the bottom of the 5th. Fair ball. In the left field corner, you're watching McRae. Brooks is to 3rd, and they hold him there. And to second base, Dave Johnson, his 2nd, a 2-base hit of the series. And the strategy, as you see by Cincinnati, intentional pass to Echeverria. Bases are loaded, and Cuellar is the batter.
I think he's remembering McNally.
He might also be remembering a swing he made in Minnesota, that a 29-mile-an-hour wind blew back fair for a Grand Slam home run in the Oriole-Minnesota playoff series. Cuellar has lined to the right fielder Rose and has struck out. The infield is in double play depth with 1 out, bases loaded. They might turn it to a double. Nope, they couldn't get Cuellar. I was thinking ahead to that great throwing arm of Johnny Bench, and if anybody had a chance of getting 2 on that play, Bench did, but Cuellar reaches
Number 7, Mark.
as the force is executed on Brooks Robinson at the plate, 2 out. Bases remain loaded, and Mark Belanger. Watching Pete Rose, calling for it. Final out of the inning. But at the end of 5 innings, the score is now Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3. This is Linda Wareheim, who does this at the end of every 5 innings. Not that, but does dust off the base paths, and she gave third base coach Alex Gramson. Here is Tony Perez, 0 for 2 with a fly to left and a line drive to left. And you've seen again the defensive artistry of Baltimore shortstop Belanger, and again the Reds hit it right at somebody.
Belanger, a former basketball star at Pittsfield, Massachusetts, is tall. Look at the reach he has, and he can go to his right or left. Tough to get that ball through that left side of the Baltimore infield.
Here is Johnny Bench. Single to knock in the Reds' first run. Let's see whether Dave Johnson, he will. Second baseman Johnson making the play. 2 down, top of the 6th. And had it not been for Baltimore defense, particularly Brooks Robinson, what a great World Series May would be having. He is still having an outstanding series, but it could be even better. Watch Paul Blair. And it apparently is quite playable for the final out. So at the middle of the 6th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3.
The batter, number 6, Paul Blair.
I think it can be said without fear of contradiction, there is not a better center fielder in the American League than Paul Blair. Breaking ball just missed, and Bench giving the well-known look to Billy Williams. Cloninger's second walk. The first one was an intentional pass to Etchebarren in the 5th inning. And the batter is Frank Robinson. One gone as Frank Robinson is out on strikes. The batter, Boog Powell. 1 for 3 this afternoon.
Number 26, Boog Powell.
Watching Blair on his way to third. The throw will be to second base. And Powell has his second hit of this game, number 5. Only in the 4th inning this afternoon have the Orioles been kept off the bases, as they were 3 up and 3 down in the 4th. Merv Rettenmund, 2 for 3 this afternoon, including a solo home run last time at that in the 5th inning. 1 out. And Perez may have a play. 2 down now. With 9 hits in a 5-game World Series, here is Brooks Robinson.
Number 5, Brooks Robinson.
And he's only hitting .474 in this World Series.
Blair third, Powell first. May does not hold with Powell. Good play by Perez, the short route for the force on Powell at second, and the final out. At the end of the 6th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3. For the Cincinnati Reds, top of the 7th inning, it'll be McRae to lead off. Hal doubled in the first inning to knock in 2 of Cincinnati's 3 runs. Popped to the shortstop in the 4th. Well, if it stays in play, Etchebarren will handle it. 1 away.
Cuellar's best pitch right now is his fastball, and he's got a good one, and he's relying on it. Shaky start in the first inning, 3 runs and 4 hits.
Number 19.
But evidently he loosened up. He is not allowed a hit since the first inning.
And now has retired 6 in a row following the walk to Bravo in the 5th inning. The batter, Tommy Helms. Off the glove of Dave Johnson, and we'll see what the official scorer rules, base hit or error. Base hit. And the first for Cincinnati since McRae's double in the first inning. And he singles to right field. Down to second goes Helms, who had, of course, to hold. And now with 1 out, the Reds have put together back-to-back base hits, and we'll see who the pinch swinger could be for Cincinnati.
Your attention, please. Batting for Clevenger, number 25,
Bernie Carbo has been announced now as the pinch hitter for Tony Cloninger. Dick Hall is throwing in the Oriole bullpen. Cuellar. 1, 2, double play, and the Orioles are out of the inning. At the middle of the 7th inning, the score continues: Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3.
In the 7th, 2 men on. The pinch hitter is Bernie Carbo, and Mike Cuellar starts his own double play.
On the screen, Ray Washburn, and he was 4-4 on the year, and the ERA 6.95, and this is his first appearance in the 1970 World Series. One away.
number 8, Andy.
Here is Andy Etchebarren, singled in the 2nd inning. Scored Baltimore's 4th run, fly to right, and was given an intentional pass in the 5th inning. Ball 4. A 1-out walk to Etchebarren brings out Mike Cuellar, and he should get a fine ovation from the Baltimore hands here at Memorial Stadium.
Number 35.
And also, Chuck, he's the only man in the lineup who hasn't had a base hit yet. He'll be trying to get one.
And he's got the sacrificing Cuellar, advancing Etchebarren to second. 2 out, and Mark Belanger. Belanger has 1 hit in 4 trips this afternoon, but it knocked in a run for Baltimore in the 2nd inning. Tommy Helms got it to first in time to get Belanger, and that'll be the Oriole half of the 7th inning. So at the end of the 7th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3.
The batter, number 28, Bobby Tolan.
The top of the 8th inning, game number 5, the 1970 series, brings the Cincinnati Redlegs leadoff hitter, Bobby Tolan, then Pete Rose, and then Tony Perez against Mike Cuellar. Now Blair is coming on in center field for the first out on the top of the 8th. And now Pete Rose doubled in the Cincinnati first, scored the first run. Since then, grounded a second, fly to right. Belanger at shortstop. 2 gone in the 8th, and the applause gets a little louder with every out now. Here is Perez. Fly to left, line to left, and Belanger made a great leaping catch to take a base hit away from him in the 6th inning. Right-handed Dick Hall, left-handed Pete Rickard are working in the Baltimore bullpen. 2 out, none on. Popped him up, middle of the infield. Who will make the play? Belanger is calling for it. Belanger will make the play. 3 up, 3 down in 1-2-3 order. So at the middle of the 8th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3. Baltimore in the bottom of the 8th inning. Paul Blair, Frank Robinson, Boog Powell against Washburn. And apparently there is a slight drizzle beginning to fall at Memorial Stadium as we go to the last half of the 8th inning. And the Orioles have to consider themselves extremely fortunate that with the weather confronting them in Baltimore this morning and up until noon today, that they are able to get along as far as they have in Game 5 without a deluge. Thunderstorms were predicted, intermittent rain, and this is the first drizzle that we have had since the early moments of the game. Safe is the call, and Blair will reach on an infield base hit.
This is quite an effort here by Concepcion. A throw with something on it, just missing Blair at first. But Blair has come up with his 3rd hit today, and now, like Brooks Robinson, he has 9 hits in a 5-game World Series if this one ends today.
Frank Robinson homered in the 1st inning with a man aboard. Frank Robinson to right field. Blair will hold at second. It's Boog. Baltimore's first baseman, who is 2 for 4, 5 hits in the series. Lee May is in trouble. Blair is coming home. Alert base running on the part of Paul Blair. Checks in Baltimore's 8th run.
Here's a replay. This ball hit hard, backs May up, and then handcuffs it. He loses his underfooting, slips and falls down. As Tommy Helms picking the ball up, throwing the pitcher, and Blair scored on the play. Here's Blair, who was on second, and he just rounded 3rd and kept coming when he saw Washburn with his back to him at first.
And Baltimore leads 8-3, 1 out. Frank Robinson at second base. Rettenmund on a 2 for 4 afternoon against Washburn. A standing ovation for Brooks Robinson. Standing ovation for Brooks Robinson.
Bring Clay Carroll on. Brooks Robinson has a chance if this series ends today. If he gets a base hit to break the all-time record for most hits in a 5-game series. He and Blair each have 9. So while we wait for the pitching change, there's a break in the action here at Baltimore with a score of the Baltimore Orioles 8 and the Cincinnati Reds 3.
Here is Brooks Robinson, 1 out, Baltimore runners. Rettenmund at first, Frank Robinson at second in time. Clay Carroll, and he has been truly magnificent for Cincinnati in the 1970 series. Good pitch from Clay Carroll, and Brooks Robinson is a looking strikeout victim and is still rewarded with a standing ovation as he heads for the Baltimore dugout. They're getting up behind the dugout. And this most popular of all to wear the uniform of a Baltimore Oriole, if the series ends today, you can use all of the superlatives you can think of, and it would describe his play in this series. Here's Dave Johnson. Baltimore continues. Frank Robinson around third, and he scores run number 9.
Dave Johnson's third hit streaks up the middle. And Frank Robinson registers the Birds' 9th and final run.
And now Andy Etchebarren.
Number 8, Andy Etchebarren.
Andy has singled, flied to right, and walked twice. One of those times intentionally. No, that's 3 and 2 now. Whoops, now it is called a strike, and that Etchebarren committed himself, and the inning is over. So at the middle, a check out at the end of the 8th inning, the score is Baltimore 9 and Cincinnati 3.
Well, the Reds are up in the 9th inning now. Johnny Bench, 1 hit in 3 times. Mike Cuellar is inside. Cuellar gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. The Reds jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the first inning, but Cuellar has shut them out since. Foul ball. 1-1. And as Earl Weaver remarked before the game, I may let him stay in there longer than I normally would another pitcher. Sometimes he gets roughed up in the first inning or 2, but he needs to loosen up. And he started loosening up in the second inning. Strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cuellar finished the season strong like he did last year. That's a... Oh! Robinson does it again! Brooks Robinson making another phenomenal play at third. Here it is. You watch it. We're getting used to seeing this. Diving, taking it in foul territory. There is one more memorable moment before the curtain comes down. Johnny Bench leads off the 9th. And again, Brooks Robinson jams up the machine. Fair or foul, Houdini at the hot sack does his thing. It's been a baseball ballet at third base in the 73rd. A long drive foul by Lee May. And Robinson has already been named the winner of the 16th Annual Sport Magazine World Series Award as the outstanding player in the 70 series. No question about it. Strike 2 to Lee May, who's been the top player for the Reds. Lee May deserves a lot of credit. He's had a great series. Check him out. The Orioles are 1 out away from the World Championship. And I don't believe there's much doubt that Brooks Robinson has been the difference. Mrs. Cuellar in the white dress, and she has the movie camera in her hand. Her husband's made a comeback today, as he did the last 2 years, getting off the slow starts and then gathering steam as the season went along.
Attention, please. Batting for McRae.
Only 2 singles off him since the first inning.
Corrales.
That's Corrales, the catcher now coming up to bat. Alan Ross been our statistician in this World Series, and Huey McDermott our stage manager. We get the last out, stand by, we'll switch you to the Baltimore locker room. Hit down to Robinson. It's fitting he makes the final out. Brooks Robinson throws him out. Baltimore is the world champ. The Reds were murderous against left-handed pitching this year, but McNally and Cuellar have defeated them in the World Series. This is the clubhouse. The players are coming in. Paul Blair had 9 hits in the series. He led the series in hitting with an average of .474. There's Brooks Robinson. That's Cuellar. Andy Etchebarren, the catcher. Mark Belanger. What a World Series this Baltimore infield had, making one great play after another. The Orioles have somewhat of a dynasty going now. They have won 3 of the last 5 American League pennants. Their second World Championship in the last 5 years. And Cuellar all the way, of course, in this game is the winner. The losing pitcher, the starter, Jim Merritt, plagued by a bad elbow. Baltimore had good pitching in the series, excellent hitting. They set a record for most home runs by a team in a 5-game series. The old record was 7 by the Yankees in '61. The Orioles hit 10 home runs in this series. They had great fielding. They had the balance that they had all year, hitting, pitching, and defense. And now let's go down to the World Champions Clubhouse.
Well, we're in the clubhouse of the world champion Baltimore Orioles, and the first to business will be Commissioner Bowie Kuhn presenting the championship trophy to the most deserving manager in baseball, Earl Weaver. Commissioner.
Earl, on behalf of all baseball, I want to present this championship award to you, for you and for all the Orioles. We knew you were a great baseball team. We knew it last year. You've proven yourself real world champions. We're all proud of you. Your trophy.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. It's a tribute to all the ball players and all the things they've done the last 2 years. And we wanted it so bad last year. I'm just glad we got it this year.
Thank you very much, Earl. And right beside you is Mr. Gerald C. Hotberger. Jerry, how do you feel about this trophy?
Well, I feel fine, but if Earl doesn't stop shaking, the whole building's going to fall down. There's Harry Dalton and Frank Cashin, and I think they deserve a lot of congratulations, too.
Earl, let's see if we can't get Harry Dalton and Frank Cashin in here for the benefit of our NBC cameraman. Would you come over, please, Frank?
I'm sure that's
and Harry Dalton. Earl, stay here. Will you please with Harry?
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the Executive Vice President of the Baltimore Orioles, Frank Cashin, with Earl Weaver, and General Manager Harry Dalton right over here. Harry, what do you have to say for us?
Chuck, I can't say anything. We're just tremendously excited and thrilled and so very proud of everybody on this team. They've done an excellent job all year.
And our Executive Vice President of Baltimore, Frank Cashin.
Thank you, Chuck. I'm very happy for the ball club, which is an excellent one, and very happy for Jerry Hoffberger, who's a great owner and really deserves it.
What a difference a year makes.
Yes, it is.
Earl, can you say a few brief words about this past year? I was with you every game, and nobody said a word about what happened last year in the World Series. There wasn't any revenge at all.
No,
what do you feel
I don't
about
think
this
so.
club?
No, I just thought we had the best team starting out in spring training, and I said that we should win our division, definitely win our division, and whatever happened in a Minnesota series would happen because it's a short series. And the same with the World Series, but we wanted it all, if we could possibly get it.
Is this club better this year than the '69 club?
I don't know. I really don't know. People have been asking me that, and I just can't answer.
Earl, I know where you want to be, out with your men. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Congratulations again, Earl Weaver. Thank you very much. And we'll see if we can't get somebody. Hey, here he is. Here is the winning pitcher in the deciding game of the 1970 World Series, Mike Cuellar. Mike, I'll not ask questions. Anything you care to say for the NBC worldwide television audience?
Oh, well, like I said, I'm so excited now. We're getting, real happy now with the guys over here. With all the teammates do the job over here. Beautiful.
Well, we heard about stiffness in the shoulder and not feeling too well prior to the game. Would you comment on that, please?
Yeah, today I feel a little bit, on the shoulder. That means a little hurt.
What about a hip?
No, I just try to concentrate on the pitching today.
Okay. Mike Cuellar, this has to be for you the biggest moment in baseball.
That's the biggest moment in baseball for me. Bro.
And there's only one thing you'd like to do, and that would be repeat it again next year, correct?
I hope so. We're going to try hard. We're going to try hard.
Mike Cuellar, thank you very much. And let's bring in Brooks Robinson right over here. Brooks, would you come over here, please? Here is Brooks Robinson, and Brooks, everyone tells me that you're going to be the player of the 1970 World Series. Any comments?
No, I'm just glad it's over. It was a great series, and things just really broke great for me. And I tell you, it took 25 of us, and this group worked together and played together and all year, and it's great to be number one.
Brooks, you've been with this organization a long time. Are there any differences, any changes that have come along in developing of the ball club that you think have perhaps highlighted the success they enjoy this afternoon?
Well, I tell you, getting Frank Robinson in '66 really put us over the hump. We were a good ball club. That made us the best around for a while, and I just hope we can. I'm going to enjoy it for a whole year, and in spring training we start all over again even.
Well, it's great to win. It's the only thing as far as Baltimore is concerned, but you did play a very fine baseball team in Cincinnati, and I'm sure the people would like to hear your comments on those Reds.
Well, we certainly respected them quite a bit. We caught them kind of short-handed without their best pitcher the first of the year, Simpson, and of course Merritt. He certainly wasn't himself today. He pitched against us in this league, and he just wasn't throwing. I know he had a bad elbow, and that was the big thing. I felt like we were going to score on their ball club, and if we kept them from breaking it wide open, well, we'd be in good shape.
Brooks, congratulations. Everyone has enjoyed the great success that you have had in this 1970 series. And speaking of gentlemen, we have one trying to move into our picture. If you'll come right in right now. Sparky Anderson, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds.
I just want to say the best ball club won, and I'd like to say that I hope the writers now give Earl Weaver what he deserves. This guy, somebody ought to shoot him. Nice going,
Sparky Anderson, ladies and gentlemen, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and what a great tribute from a fine gentleman, Sparky Anderson, to come over to the Winners Clubhouse and congratulate Brooks Robinson and manager Earl Weaver, and of course the Baltimore Orioles, who are in the midst of a very fine celebration. We're looking around for Tony Kubek to see if Tony has another one of the Orioles that he'll be bringing up here for us, and we'll be happy to talk to any and every one that Tony will bring up here. Here on the way up right now. Hold on, before we continue with more player interviews, let's go right upstairs for one moment. And with me is a fellow that the Baltimore Orioles call the Blade, Mark Belanger. Mark, there couldn't be a greater moment in your baseball career.
No, this is the greatest moment of my life. I'm so happy. I like to cry. I really do.
What was the effect of yesterday's Cincinnati Red victory on this clubhouse yesterday afternoon?
Well, we figured that we got 3 wins and they got 1, and I think we'd rather be in that spot than 1 and 3, just like they were. So we just bounced back today and said, let's go get them today, and this is what we did.
And it was well accomplished. You played an outstanding brand of defensive ball, but it sounds strange to keep saying that, even though the Orioles perhaps made more errors than the Reds did in the series.
Well, I'll tell you, that guy over third base there, he's not too bad.
Not too bad. It's a pretty nice compliment for Brooks Robinson, of course. And Mark, we congratulate you, and I look over my shoulder, and you mentioned Frank Robinson, and if you'll pardon me a moment, we'll go to Frank. Frank, a moment ago, a teammate of yours, Brooks Robinson, paid you a very fine compliment. I asked that in the years he has been with the club, he has been with them for quite a few years, was there a single change that he thought perhaps keynoted the success he celebrates this afternoon? He said, when we got Frank Robinson in 1966.
Well, that's a great compliment, Chuck, and coming from an individual like Brooks, it really makes me feel good.
Frank, we'd just like to hear a few of your thoughts about this 1970 series, if you perhaps during the series you reflected on 69.
Well, we did, Chuck. I think we reflected on 69 all this year, actually, without really saying it. I think the fellas all went along, dedicated themselves, and said we were going to spring training to get ourselves in the best possible shape. We got ourselves mentally fit for this year. We were going to win the championship this year in the American League and get another shot in the series, and just go out there and come out on the winning end. And we didn't have the rah-rah thing about it. Each individual did it in spring training, got themselves in shape, and went out and did it on the field.
Sparky Anderson stepped in here a moment ago and said something I felt needed to be said. You can't say it too often. He wanted to pay Earl Weaver a great compliment for the manner in which he has handled the Baltimore Orioles, and I've heard you discuss this, and I would like to have you repeat it for our television audience.
Well, Chuck, actually, Earl just doesn't get the credit he deserves. I'm not saying by the press or whatever. I just don't think people give him the credit he deserves. Earl has done a tremendous job with this ball club ever since he took it over in the middle of the '68 season. The thing about Earl is he gets the best out of 25 ball players. He's not afraid to use a 25th ball player to try to win a ball game. He doesn't mind making a move or being criticized for it if he feels like he's going to win a ball game. A lot of people ask us what kept our bench so sharp, and that's because Earl didn't mind playing that bench during the season, give them a few games to play so they could see some pitching and be sharp when he needed them. He didn't let them sit there and collect rust.
One other question I think baseball fans are asking, if they're in my position, they want to know, is Frank Robinson playing or managing next year?
With this feeling going right now, Chuck, I'm going to reflect on this feeling. I'm going to enjoy this right now. And I'll tell you the way I feel right now, I want to be one of the 25 guys like this next year, leave the headaches and the trouble to someone else. I feel like right now I'm going to be a player next year. This is tremendous.
And Frank feels that there are a few more years left for Frank Robinson.
That's right. And I'd like to say one thing, and this isn't trying to butter Brooks up, but this guy had a tremendous series, Chuck. I don't think anybody could have dreamed of the series that he had going into this series. But if the people just remember, and this shows you what a great ball club we have, and there's no one individual's on this ball club, In the third inning, Brooks Robinson has the hottest series, but he went to right with a man on second, nobody out, and got the man over the third. And this just shows you what this ball club has done. No one is too big on this ball club, and I'd just like to take my hat off to Brooks. He's done a hell of a job, this series. This guy's always done it when the chips are down. He's able to come up with the big plays and drive in the big run.
Frank Robinson, again, congratulations and thank you for your kind words. And we have Dave McNally coming into our picture right now. Thank you, Frank Robinson. Well, Dave, this is way back in February when the pitchers reported down to spring training. This is the afternoon that you were looking forward to, right?
This is what we're shooting for, and I'm so happy we made it, I can't believe it.
And two of Baltimore's left-handers, Cuellar and McNally, went the route and defeated a fine baseball team that has had great success against left-handed pitching.
Well, Chuck, they're an excellent hitting ball club and Ruga ball club all around, and I was very happy and fortunate to beat them in the series, but I wouldn't want to pitch against them for a living.
I understand. Dave, without, really speaking out of school, the Baltimore scouts that looked at the Cincinnati Red Ball Club, would you comment on the information they made available to you?
Well, they did an excellent job of scouting the Cincinnati players, and almost any time we got the ball where they told us to get it, we made outs, but we made some mistakes, and they jumped on them.
But another fine ball club. And Dave McNally, you're headed for a winter of golf. Is that correct?
A winter of golf and relaxation.
But a little bit of a celebration prior to the golf.
I think we might find room for a party somewhere.
Dave, improve that swing of yours. I think they'd like to see another Grand Slam home run.
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Dave McNally. And here's a young fellow that you speak of courageous athletes. I'd like to introduce the Baltimore bat boy. This is Jay Mazzone. And Jay, this, just say whatever you'd like to right now.
This is the greatest bunch of guys in the world. Couldn't have anybody better. Thanks, Chuck.
All right, Jay, and we congratulate you. This young man is just an outstanding example of what it takes to be successful in this way of life. Pitcher Jim Harden. And Jim, what about this feeling this afternoon?
It's the greatest I've ever had. It's unbelievable, really. I didn't contribute in the series, but I was some kind of happy to be here.
It's a nice kind of a habit to get into, Jim Harden, is it not?
Every year.
I'd like to bring in some of the boys who sometimes have been referred to as second-line players. There's no such thing. Manager Earl Weaver says there are 25. Chico Simone. Chico, you had the base hit out in Cincinnati.
Thank you, Chuck, and that was a great thrill, but I think this one is bigger.
And right alongside of Chico is Marcelino Lopez. Come on in here, Marcy. You came in to pitch to a left-handed hitter and did your job in Cincinnati.
Well, that's the greatest moment of my life. I was hurt for 2 years. I never thought I was going to see this before. I feel so grateful. I don't have a word to say. I just want to say it. I know I didn't see my mother for 10 years, probably watching me on TV now. I like to say hello, and I'm all right. This is a great moment in my life, and I hope next year we do it again.
Bless you, Marcelino, and we do hope that your mother has seen you this afternoon. And let's bring in Kurt Moten over here, another one of the men who has been used by manager Earl Weaver. What about it, Kurt? What do you got to say this afternoon?
Everybody said how wonderful it is to be world champs and so on and so forth, but I don't think words can really describe my feelings because I never expected to feel this way. I don't usually get excited, but this is just really great. I'm glad we're on top.
Kurt Moten, congratulations and thank you very much. And Tony Kubek, would you come over here? Here is Pete Riggert. What do you say, Pete? How's it feel right
Beautiful.
now? Silly question.
Beautiful.
But any comment on the Cincinnati Red Ball Club?
They're a good ball club, but I think their pitching isn't as good as ours. Their bench isn't as good as ours, and that's just a great ball club we throw out there at you.
It is, and it has been day after day. Tony Kubek, I'd like to hear your comments in this series.
No doubt about what Pete just says. That's a great ball club. This one happened to be a greater ball club for this series. They've got everything going for them all around. Guys like this in the bullpen, they're just great. What can you say? The Cincinnati ball club in the first half was a better ball club than in the second half and in the playoffs and the World Championship Series, because they're missing some key pitching. Simpson, of course, and Merritt was not at his best, along with some of the others. They're a great ball club, too, but they did it this time.
And this Cincinnati ball club, I believe, is a kind of a club that probably could be in this World Series for a few years to come. How do you feel about that, Pete Rickard?
Fine. We'll play them again next year if they want us. We'll be there.
Mickey Manlin, one of our pregame interviews with him a couple of days ago, said that these same two teams, a prediction for the future, will be in the World Series again next year. I don't know if he's going to be right, but it's got a good chance.
Well, I got to feel it's the same game, the same series, same script. That'll be fine with me.
I hope so. And could I call in another one of the lesser known of the Baltimore Orioles? And I might incidentally advertise the fact that he's the only bachelor on the ball club, ladies. Cool, Bobby Grich, what does this moment feel like to you?
Oh, it's just a great thrill, Chuck. Just tremendous. I just feel privileged to be able to be on the team, one of the greatest teams in baseball right here.
And here is perhaps the greatest center fielder in the American League, Paul Blair. Paul, anything you care to say?
Oh, everything was just beautiful, Chuck. This is something we've been looking for all year. We had something to prove this year, and we came back and we proved it, and it was good to be here and win. I know how Cincinnati feels, because we felt this way last year. We got the breaks this year, and I think it was a hell of a World Series, and I just hope we can come back and beat them again next year.
Well, Paul, you, like all of the Orioles who've been up here, have nothing but complimentary things to say about the Cincinnati Reds, a fine ball club.
Oh, yes, they were a tremendous ball club. They played hard. They're Lee May did a fantastic job.
Didn't he,
He
though?
really hit. And Perez and all of them, I just think that maybe Perez had a lot of bad luck because he hit a lot of balls hard. It could have been a lot of base hits. Maybe their pitching just wasn't up to the par that they brought all year. And, you know, they lost Wayne Simpson, who did a fantastic job for them. And with our ball club, I don't think you can come out and be a little handicapped with their pitching and beat us. We played a real fine World Series, too.
You echo the thoughts of most people that there is the possibility that Baltimore and Cincinnati could be doing this again, perhaps for a few years?
I would love to be to face Cincinnati there next year. Just as long as we're there, that's all that's necessary.
That's the most important thing. Well, Paul Blair, congratulations again. It was a great job right on through the series by 25 men and a fine coaching staff of George Bamberger, the pitching coach, George Soller at first, Billy Hunter at third base, and a fellow named Jim Fry out in the bullpen.
We have some pretty good sportscasters, too, Chuck.
Hey, thank you very much, Paul Blair. That's about it. Let's right now take you from the clubhouse of the world champion Baltimore Orioles upstairs.
For Mike Cuellar, after a rough start, the series comes down to one more out. The pinch hitter is Pat Corrali, and poetic justice directs this routine grounder to the right man. Sweet bird of ecstasy. The year-long run for redemption is over. The Orioles, in the role of beaten favorites, come roaring back. And Brooks Robinson, held to one hit in the World Series of 1969, hits the jackpot in 70. 1 year, the taste of ashes, now the taste of champagne.